So, why is soccer the most popular sport in the world? And why I think it should be that way? Well, it's because soccer doesn't discriminate. Okay? So let me explain by giving various examples. You can be tall and be very successful. You can be short and be very successful. You can be fat and be very successful. You can be skinny and be very successful. You can be smart and be very successful. You can be, you get the idea. Soccer doesn't discriminate. And further, you can be bulky and be very successful. You can be lanky and be very successful. You can be handsome and be very successful. You get the idea. Okay? You can be young and be very successful. You can be old and be very successful. You can be nice and humble and be very successful. Or you can be a cunt, and that works too. You can be loyal and be very successful. Or you can fuck your brother's wife for 7 years behind his back. Or you can be loyal and a cunt. I could go on for hours. But really, what I'm saying is, when it comes to lots of metrics and attributes, physical or otherwise, soccer doesn't discriminate, unlike with some other sports, to name a few. In order to be a volleyball player, you have to be very tall. In order to be a basketball player, you have to be very tall and black. In order to be a sumo wrestler, you have to be very fat. In order to be a ski jumper, you have to be very thin. In order to be a chess player, you have to be very smart. In order to be a darts player, you have to be... you see, all these different sports have specific requirements, okay? But soccer does not. It does not discriminate within the rules of the game. Further than that, it doesn't discriminate financially as well. All you need to practice is a ball and relatively flat surface. You can literally be a poor boy painting streets in Brazil. Next thing you know, you're playing the Champions League. You played in the Champions League. So soccer doesn't discriminate financially, unlike with some other sports. For example, if you want to play golf, access to golf courses is not free or readily available. You also have to own clubs or the equipment, wear tartan pants, etc. Tennis, for example, same thing. Tennis courts aren't as easily accessible, and you need a racket. Another one is, for example, indoor skydiving. Now, what is that, you may ask? Well, it's a sport apparently where you get inside this chamber and it blows the air up to simulate free fall, the sensation of falling, and you go in and do like flips and shit, and they already have world championship for that. But the thing is, to even get into one of these chambers, like just to try, it costs literally $100. So you have like this crowd of poor kids hanging around outside, watching from the sidelines, gazing at this chamber and like thinking, wow, it's so cool, you get to fly and stuff, but they cannot afford it. Not even to train, to simply just try for like 15 minutes. And then some guy strolls in and he's like, beat it kids, I'm gonna try for my championship. You know, that includes him and 10 different people in the world. And he goes in and he's like, wee, I'm flying and shit. And he's doing flips and stuff in no gravity. And he has to practice, to compete with those other 3 people in the world. But you know what I mean? When it comes to soccer, see, soccer doesn't discriminate. Every kid on the planet can pick it up easily and try it. They can have already 1,000 hours of practice under their belt before they meet any sort of financial buyer. And because the entire world is already invested in it, the talent pool of players is easily the largest in the world. And thus, achievements in soccer mean that much more. Because soccer doesn't discriminate.